Well, good Sunday morning. Well, you can go all in, pour your heart and soul, even your blood, sweat, and tears, but sometimes it still isn't enough. And for some candidates in this year's primary elections, they know the feeling. An open seat for the county's top post for the first time in over a decade drew a field of serious contenders. For months, the four candidates for Webb County Judge would make their case to voters. Weeks of forums and interviews and debates all marked a spirited and compelling campaign season. All four brought years of experience in government, business, and management, setting the stage for a competitive race. And as the ballots were counted, the race began to come into focus, but in the end, it could only come down to two. So on election night, when the dust settled, it was the end of the road for half of the field. In the lead and coming out on top, Jerry Garza, coming in with just over 10,000 votes, good for a little more than 40% of the vote. Next in line and joining him in May's runoff election, C.Y. Benavides. He earned over 6,000 votes, just shy of 25%. And rounding out the field, both Karina Elizondo and Raul Reyes both would turn out thousands of voters, but would come out just short of moving on. Both of them this morning joining us with a look back at the campaign trail, and they are joined, of course, by KGNS General Manager. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good
morning.
First of all, congratulations on a heartfelt campaign. You know, both of you all poured your heart, like we just said, into the campaign, and we really, really appreciate you spending time with us this morning just for some reflection and perspective on the race. We appreciate having you with us.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
It is. I don't think people appreciate the hard work that goes into a campaign. The long nights and the
sleepless nights.
Sleepless nights, not long nights. Yeah, I guess so. Sleepless nights, and I have a very deep respect for people that go into public office because it is a thankless position most of the time and subject to all kinds of scrutiny and stuff. So thank you for your efforts and thank you for joining us here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts after this?
Well, you know, for me, it's one of those things that, you work so hard, and obviously everybody wants to win. And I feel that ultimately, no matter how hard you try, we do live in a democracy, and we respect the will of the people, and people decided that it just wasn't our time, right? And obviously they had choices. You can go back and reflect on what you could have done better.
The lessons learned.
Lessons learned.
Yeah.
But I'm very proud of the campaign that my team led. So thankful to the dozens and hundreds of people who supported me, believed in my campaign, believed in our message of opportunity and prosperity for every single family, not just a select few. And those are the moments and the memories you take with you. And I've been fortunate to serve Webb County for over 20 years now. And within the course of those 2 decades, I've learned that one of the most important things is making sure that you stay true to yourself, you stay grounded, you don't forget who you are, where you come from. It's so easy to do that, not only in campaigns, but in elected office. But most importantly, never lose faith in yourself and in each other. And I think what we've learned, what I learned over the course of this campaign is how inspiring it is to just hear people, hear their concerns, their hopes about the future, and obviously stay connected with them and establish those continued deep connections. And for that, and for the hundreds of people who supported me, who were out there with me, knocking on doors, holding up signs, getting a tag, I am forever grateful and thankful.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, you were out there. I was commenting on the tan before we started this morning's program because
it's not a beach tan.
Yeah,
I wish.
I know. I thought you had maybe gone for a weekend trip.
What about you, Karina?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Karina?
Well, I am very blessed to have the opportunity to run this campaign. I have accomplished many things in my life. I feel I'm a very accomplished woman, but oh man, this campaign was hard. There were many challenges, but I'm very grateful for my team, for every single person that supported me. Our group was very small, but we were able to touch so many people. And I know the results was not what I expected, but I feel like we were able to make a difference. And the slogan of progress over politics, I think it's something that really touched a lot of people. And I got a lot of comments after the campaign, like, you see, that's why we don't vote.
Let me ask you both something. From your perspective, I mean, obviously, yeah, there's a campaign and there's rhetoric and and we'll get into some of the negative aspects of the campaign in a little bit, but now that you're back, and I don't know if your future includes another run or not, but at this point in time, from your perspective, if there's one or two things that you think are critically needed to be addressed at the county level, what would those two things be? One or two things, Raul?
At the county level?
Yeah.
You know, I think part of my messaging was we need to make sure that we start addressing the growing pains of society, whether that be traffic congestion, whether that be opportunities for our young folks to be able to not be pushed outside of their hometown to start a decent living and, you know, find a good paying job. We need to make sure that we start talking about you know, hospital districts, health districts, to ensure that we have the much needed care and healthcare services here locally. But you can't do those things if you're not including people in the decision-making process, right? And I think that is one of those things, and you've seen across history that many of the much needed things that we need as a society to continue economic development, community development, to address a lot of these issues get turned down by the voters, but not because they're bad projects, because, you know, they were never consulted. Right. They were never informed of these things. And you've seen those bond referendums fail miserably when you don't include people in the decision-making process.
They feel disenfranchised.
I think, in my opinion, I mean, I'm an administrator by heart. I have a master's degree in public administration. I worked for the government for 20 years. So I think my perspective is very different. I think that transparency, it's desperately needed, and also efficiency. I think one of the proposals that I had as a candidate was to do a audit, right? A county-wide audit, and see how every department operates, and in order to understand their needs firsthand, like one-on-one. Because I think just the hierarchy is, you have the county judge and you have the commissioners and then the directors. And I feel like there's a little bit of disconnect, right? Because you go from the directors to the commissioners, which are the bosses, right? And eventually, I mean, I think they need.
Are they really the bosses? And the reason I'm asking this is I've always contended, both in the city and county government, that the bureaucracy that actually runs the departments is really what moves things along or not. And administrations can come and go.
Yes.
But sometimes there are things that are so ingrained, and so the bureaucracy is such a part of our everyday thing that you may have the best of intentions, but moving that needle is difficult.
And
right? And
yes,
so
absolutely.
if you had a magic wand, what would you do differently? I mean, you were alluding to an audit in the hope of finding what? Waste? Efficiency?
Yes, I mean, just to be more proactive, more efficient. I feel like I'm now up in the private sector, so I reflect on how the public sector works and the private sector works, and I think that there's a lot of room for improvement at the Webb County. I mean, I work for the city of Laredo as well, and yeah, it is true. Sometimes as directors, we'll talk to each other and be like, hey, I mean, elected officials, they're here temporarily, right? And we are the ones that are running the department. So that's where I was going with. Like, I think.
For me, autonomy and independence at a department level is instrumental. You know, county government is very different from municipal government, and that is just the reality. You, as the members of the governing body, they oversee county operations. They have budgetary and statutory duties and responsibilities, as do elected, officials as well that are elected, to their respective roles. So our bosses, in essence, are
Elected
the people that, vote for us, and our governing body can't tell us what to do, whereas opposed to department heads, the members, the majority, and now let's get this, correct, the majority of the 5 members of that governing body, they are ultimately the bosses of the department heads. So there is politics involved. Anybody who says that there isn't, you don't have to be naive to know that politics plays a huge role in a lot of the successes or failures of different services and departments. But I think, to be fair, I think what department heads, just want is an opportunity to be able to do their job without politics getting involved.
Right. Raul, talking about politics, you've been a public servant since you were 21 years old. You were the youngest mayor ever elected for the city of El Cenizo. What's your future now for you? What are the plans?
I've spent the past 2 decades serving with heart, listening with humility, and putting people first. I'm going to continue to do that. I started my work as a young volunteer when I was 14 years old, getting involved at the Boys and Girls Club, giving ESL classes, getting our kids off the streets and engaged in community service projects that really benefited our community. I want to take this time to not only reflect, but during the campaign, I lost my mom. It was something very difficult, very unexpected and sudden. Those people who know me knew that, I was not only a mama's boy, but she was, the foundation and rock and my biggest fan, cheerleader, biggest supporter, somebody who inspired me to not only get involved in public service, but who I still need and miss. So I want to be able to take this time to grieve properly and also rediscover myself, not because I lost the election, but rediscover yourself in a way that you're true to the essence of who you are as a person. I want to continue to get involved. I want to continue raising funds to give scholarships like I've been doing these past years. I want to continue my work with the Stronger Together Foundation to provide financial relief and resources to cancer patients and show a level of support. I want to continue my good work and putting, and really living service above self with Rotary and the different service projects. I'm going to continue to do that, but I also want to do something that I've not been able to do because being in the public eye for so long takes a toll on you, and your life is public, and you are subjected to a lot of scrutiny nowadays with social media, and we both got the heat of it. You have these so wannabe influencers, with the just ugliness of just spurting out whatever lie or thing, and and sometimes we have to be the better person and not engage in that because it never ends well, right? So,
Well, we've got a lot more to talk about with y'all, and we appreciate that you're going to stick around with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We're back with Raul and Karina in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing where we left off on this episode of Beyond the Headlines, and we are very grateful to continue with Raul Reyes, Karina Elizondo. Thank you so much for sticking around. Before we went on a commercial break, we were talking about some of the hardships that come along with elections, and you all were talking about some of the things that you all faced, and it is hard, and that's why we started at the top of this episode, just congratulating you for your courageousness in being, in wanting to to do what you did with this campaign, because it is hard. So let's talk a little bit about that and some of the issues that both of you all faced. Raul, I think we left off with you. Karina, let's pivot over to you,
Yes.
and then we'll go back with Raul. What are some of the things that you saw that you weren't expecting?
I mean, it was pretty challenging, the fact that we were running against a millionaire and political machines. I think for me, that was one of the hardest things, right? Because as a candidate, you do expect to have certain expenditures, right? But competing with the amount of money that other individuals had was very, very challenging. So it was just trying to catch up with that. But I think we did a pretty good job on that.
There was obviously a political action committee, or I don't know exactly what to call it.
A PAC.
A
Yes.
PAC that was running negative ads against one of you, not one of you, but one of the candidates. And basically saying anybody but him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the message. Did that play a part, do you think, in swaying the vote anywhere? Do you think it was an effective campaign? Do you think it pushed the needle in either way?
I personally think so. Can you imagine? I mean, if I was in his position and having that amount of money thrown against me in negative political acts, I think it definitely play a role, right? Especially because I don't know what your budget was for commercials. I mean, they were pretty expensive, and so as online marketing and all that stuff. So I think it did play a role. I think it negatively impacted that candidate, but I mean, it kind of gave us like a little bit of leverage to be able to continue to fight in this race, because I mean, like I said, even though we were I think you did an amazing job as well with the marketing and everything, but I mean, it was a big difference in terms of our budgets.
I wonder, and I'm sure we can find this number out, but I wonder if you take your expenditures and divide it by the number of votes you got, see how much each vote
it's going to come out pretty soon.
and see cost per vote,
Yeah.
and how that works out, right? I mean,
Yes.
and that's very eye-opening.
Yeah.
I think this race would have been very different if we would have been running in a presidential election, because people actually go out and vote on their own. And I remember talking to you, Luisa, months before or during that campaign, and I mentioned this campaign was going to be very, very interesting, because I wanted to see what weights more in an election, either political machines, money, or the people, right? And I think because each candidate represented each category, right? So it was very interesting for me to see.
So we've got, what, 70,000 registered voters in the county?
145,000.
Yeah, almost 150.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know where I got.
Yeah, I think it was
70 from.
147,500 and some.
And
Yeah.
how many voted in the Democrat primary? 16,000 and some?
In the Democratic, we had about 20 some.
28,
Total?
29.
Yeah, 28, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, voter apathy is going to be, continues to be a major issue here locally.
Yeah.
You know, and, Karina mentioned, the fact that when, you don't have the wealthy supporting you financially, it obviously creates a lot of obstacles and hurdles. And when you have good, well-intended people, who can contribute so much and who are good leaders, obviously that plays a factor on why we can't have, significant and substantial change. Look, for me, it was never about, wanting to seek a higher office for self-benefit. For me, it was if a young boy who grew up in poverty, who came up from nothing, could work his way up, get educated, work hard to even dream of the possibility of serving the highest office in Webb County.
Yep.
That was my message of inspiration and hope, so that other people, can feel that and see that they belong too, without having any money.
I think that message was well received, Raul. I think that message was well received by both of
Absolutely.
you. All right, let's put, as they say, the show must go on, right?
See.
So we still have a decision to make, and we still need to find our county judge and our leader for the next term. So what are your thoughts? Who do you think would be a better choice at this point, and if so, why? Karina?
I'll let
Because we know that obviously you all supporters are going to have to lean in one direction or
I
another.
think-
So,
And
and
they'll
they
listen
look
to
to
you.
you.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
they look to you.
I think honestly, and I have gotten a lot of calls from both camps, and I'm very happy to say, like I said throughout my campaign, no, yo no le debo nada a nadie. So I think I have a little bit of, okay, time and no pressure to decide, because I mean, I'm sure other people are getting a lot of pressure como to support one candidate or the other, and I don't, right? And in terms of choosing, seriously, like people desde arriba, de todo lado, when they call me, I'm like, okay, I mean, even that day I was telling Mindy, even on Tuesday night when I lost, I had just seen the results. They're already calling me to support another candidate. I'm like, hey,
Hey, wait a
let me
minute.
mourn my
Let me mourn a
loss.
little bit. All right, so do you have are you going to put something out there?
I am still thinking about it because.
All right, let's give Raul a chance.
Okay.
Well, I'm, obviously with such a, unexpected result, you put a lot of things into perspective. I obviously ran. We both ran because we care deeply about our county.
Raul, A or B?
And we and we see the challenges, but I think there's time. There's time to make a sound decision, and I'm going to wait until I feel that I am comfortable enough.
Will you publicly
to
say it
tell,
at some point?
I will.
Okay.
I will, until I comfortably feel comfortable to be able to tell the group of my supporters and those that did not even participate or vote that they should, and reality is I have deep respect for institutions, that is just the nature. You can't serve public office and disregard the institution that, you're seeking to be a part of, right?
All right, so
And
you're
that's
both
just the reality.
abstaining.
But
at this
it's
point.
interesting that he mentions that, because Woodrow Wilson, before he became president, when he was a professor at a university, the president of a university, he wrote an essay, and it said that us public servants do not serve the people, but we serve an irresponsible institution. So, I mean, institutions, it can go both ways, right? Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And I think that was my message
But it's
throughout
part of
my
our
campaign.
structure. It is.
Absolutely.
And there is we live in a world where there's been a little lack of respect for institutions and for public office, and that's not good.
And we have a foundation. What happens is that when you elect people who seek to destroy and dismantle, then that's where the dangers comes. As a country, we have survived some of the most, horrible,
Yes, we have.
presidents and elected leaders. But the foundation is there. It's what you do, the type of leader that you are, the leadership skills and
But
skills that you bring. You
But
try and
sometimes
build and elevate it.
Sometimes
Well, we-
institutions are a threat to democracy. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, there is going to be a luncheon hosted by one of the candidates, and it's co-hosted by almost every single member of Commissioner's Court. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing or it's a good thing, but it's like,
Yeah. Well, you do have time, so we appreciate your input. The runoff election is on May 26th, so there is a little bit of time for y'all to get your thoughts out there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come
you'll tell me
back, it's the
privately.
one thing we cannot stop thinking about. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. Before we head out the door this morning, we've got the one thing that our panelists cannot stop thinking about, and actually we are gonna pivot to Luis, because
You're
you've
just
got
gonna give
something.
me the one thing.
We're gonna give you the one thing. You've got
All right.
something important you want to talk about.
Well, I just want to briefly talk about all of you who may use Dish as a service provider. You should know that, obviously you already know that Dish and Gray Media were not able to come to an agreement for carriage of our signal, so you can, if you have Dish, you are no longer being able to watch any of our channels. It is a very complicated issue. All I can tell you is KGNS and its affiliates are free over the air for anyone. You don't need a service to watch any of our programs, and you can also download apps and anything you can do to watch. Our service is free.
Yeah.
The cable and satellite and all those other people charge you for it. Our services are free. We deal with them. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. And that is all the time we have for this episode of Beyond the Headlines. But we'll see you once again next Sunday for another episode. Until then, have a fantastic week ahead.